Dark brown, near black eyes. Dark brown to near black eyes represent the ancestral human eye color and the original visual blueprint of Homo sapiens. These eyes evolved under intense equatorial sunlight after early humans lost most of their body hair, exposing the body, and especially the eyes, to high levels of ultraviolet radiation. To compensate, the iris accumulated dense concentrations of eumelanin, a pigment that absorbs excess photons before they can damage retinal tissue. This protection was critical long before clothing, shelter, or technology existed to mitigate environmental exposure. High melanin density dramatically reduces internal light scatter, meaning visual information reaches the brain with less noise and distortion. This produces stable depth perception, reliable distance judgment, and consistent visual acuity over long periods of wakefulness. In hunter-gatherer environments, this endurance vision allowed early humans to track animals across open terrain, scan horizons for threats, and maintain focus despite fatigue or glare. Neurologically, darker eyes may reduce overstimulation of the visual cortex, promoting steadier attention and slower sensory overload. These eyes were not shaped for sensitivity, but for resilience, built to preserve vision across long lifespans under harsh conditions. Standard brown eyes. Standard brown eyes evolved as humans migrated out of equatorial Africa into regions with more variable climates and lighting conditions. While still rich in melanin, these eyes allow slightly more light to reach the retina, creating a balance between protection and adaptability. This configuration proved extraordinarily successful as humans spread across continents, encountering forests, coastlines, mountains, and seasonal shifts in daylight. Brown eyes regulate glare efficiently in bright environments while maintaining adequate sensitivity in low light conditions, reducing the need for constant neural recalibration. This balance lowers metabolic demand in the visual cortex, conserving cognitive energy during prolonged environmental scanning, social interaction, and tool use. Genetically, brown eyes are polygenic and robust, meaning multiple genes contribute to pigment expression, making the trait resistant to disruption by mutation. Their global dominance is not coincidence. Brown eyes consistently performed well across nearly every biome humans inhabited, making them one of the most evolutionarily reliable visual adaptations. Light brown slash honey eyes. Light brown and honey-colored eyes represent a subtle evolutionary refinement rather than a dramatic mutation. A modest reduction in melanin allows increased photon entry, improving vision during transitional lighting conditions such as dawn, dusk, and shaded environments. These eyes likely offered advantages in woodland and mixed terrains, where light levels fluctuate rapidly as individuals move between open clearings and dense canopy cover. The increased sensitivity enhances contrast detection without significantly increasing vulnerability to glare or ultraviolet damage. This balance would have supported navigation, foraging, and hunting in environments where lighting changed minute by minute. Developmentally, pigment deposition in these eyes often continues into early childhood, suggesting that environmental exposure can influence final coloration. Light brown and honey eyes reflect a visual system tuned for adaptability in fluctuating light, rather than extremes of brightness or darkness. Hazel eyes. Hazel eyes are among the most dynamically adaptive eye colors in humans. Their defining feature is uneven melanin distribution combined with structural light scattering, allowing the iris to respond rapidly to environmental changes. As the pupil dilates or constricts, different pigment densities become active, reducing glare in bright light while increasing sensitivity in dim conditions, sometimes within seconds. Functionally, this acts like a biological auto-exposure system. Evolutionarily, hazel eyes would have been favored in edge habitats such as forest borders, hills, and seasonal landscapes where lighting conditions shift constantly. Hazel eyes also enhance mid-range contrast and depth perception, supporting spatial awareness in complex environments. Their shifting appearance is not cosmetic illusion. It reflects real optical changes occurring within the iris as light interacts with layered pigment structures. Green eyes. Green eyes require a precise genetic balance and therefore remain rare. They contain moderate melanin levels combined with specific collagen fiber structures that alter how wavelengths are filtered. Instead of maximizing brightness sensitivity, green eyes emphasize contrast discrimination, allowing subtle differences in texture, shape, and depth to stand out under diffuse lighting. This is particularly advantageous in environments with frequent cloud cover, fog, or dense vegetation, where brightness is limited but visual detail remains critical. Historically, green eyes appear most often in northern and central Europe, regions dominated by indirect sunlight. Genetic research suggests that alleles influencing green eyes may also affect pain perception, dopamine regulation, and hormonal sensitivity, indicating broader neurological associations. Their rarity increased sexual selection pressure, helping maintain the trait even when environmental advantages were specialized rather than universal. Amber eyes. Amber eyes are distinguished by high concentrations of lipochrome pigment rather than melanin dominance. Lipochrome selectively filters short-wavelength blue light, dramatically reducing visual haze and chromatic noise. This enhances edge detection, motion tracking, and depth perception, traits commonly observed in predatory species that rely on precision vision. In humans, amber eyes likely provided advantages in bright, open environments where long-distance clarity mattered more than color nuance. Filtering blue light reduces atmospheric scatter, allowing objects to appear sharper and more defined. Amber eyes may also reduce eye strain during prolonged exposure to intense sunlight, supporting sustained focus. Their rarity suggests a niche adaptation, highly effective in specific ecological conditions rather than broadly advantageous across all environments. Blue eyes. Blue eyes emerged relatively recently in human history due to a regulatory mutation that reduced melanin production in the iris without affecting retinal pigment. Their blue appearance results from structural light scattering rather than pigment itself. Reduced melanin allows significantly more light to reach the retina, increasing sensitivity in low-light environments. This trait would have been advantageous in northern latitudes with long winters, extended twilight, snow reflection, and limited daylight. Blue eyes often show faster pupil dilation and heightened peripheral sensitivity, improving detection of subtle movement in dim conditions. The trade-off is increased vulnerability to glare, photophobia, and ultraviolet-related damage. Blue eyes persisted because their sensitivity advantages outweighed their risks in specific environments and were reinforced through sexual selection. Light blue/icy blue eyes. Light blue and icy blue eyes represent an extreme expression of low pigmentation. With minimal melanin, these eyes maximize photon intake, enhancing night vision and peripheral awareness. However, this increased sensitivity also raises oxidative stress within retinal tissues and heightens discomfort in bright environments. These eyes are highly reactive to environmental changes and often experience light sensitivity under intense sunlight. They function best in consistently low light regions and represent the upper boundary of visual sensitivity in human evolution. Their existence highlights how far adaptation can push sensory perception before vulnerability outweighs benefit. Gray eyes. Gray eyes scatter light differently than blue eyes due to denser collagen fibers in the iris. This scattering reduces glare while maintaining sharp visual clarity, making gray eyes particularly effective in low-contrast environments such as fog, snow, or heavy cloud cover. Motion detection and shape recognition are enhanced when color information is muted. Gray eyes may also allow finer pupil regulation, stabilizing vision during rapid fluctuations in light intensity. Their rarity reflects specialization rather than general adaptability, optimized for environments where contrast matters more than brightness or color richness. Violet eyes. Violet eyes occur when extremely low melanin combines with unusual structural scattering and visible underlying vasculature. These eyes allow exceptional light penetration, enhancing vision in very dim conditions. However, the lack of pigment leaves the retina highly vulnerable to ultraviolet damage and photochemical stress. Historically, such eyes would only persist in environments with minimal sunlight or where behavioral and social factors reduced environmental exposure. Violet eyes represent the extreme edge of human visual variation, where sensitivity is maximized at the cost of protection. Red/pink eyes. Red or pink eyes, most commonly associated with albinism, result from near total absence of melanin throughout the visual system. Blood vessels within the iris become visible, giving the eye its characteristic coloration. Light passes almost unfiltered to the retina, maximizing sensitivity but destabilizing visual processing. While poorly suited for bright environments, these eyes can perform better in extremely low light conditions. Their persistence demonstrates that traits with significant drawbacks can survive when paired with protective behavior, social support, or controlled environments. Heterochromia. Heterochromia demonstrates that eye color is locally regulated rather than globally fixed. Differences in melanin deposition arise from variations in neural crest cell migration, genetic signaling, or developmental timing. This can produce complete heterochromia between eyes, sectoral differences within one iris, or central heterochromia with layered pigmentation. Functionally, this creates asymmetric light filtering. One eye or one region may reduce glare while another enhances sensitivity. The visual cortex integrates these differences seamlessly, potentially expanding adaptability across fluctuating lighting conditions. Central heterochromia often places darker pigment near the pupil to block direct light while allowing peripheral sensitivity, forming a layered filtration system rather than a defect. Its persistence shows that variation is tolerated and sometimes beneficial within human vision. Subscribe and explore the science that makes you extraordinary.